Now this is just a plexiglass version of the real thing. The real filters that we build, they are a cement filter that's about 1 foot square and 3 feet tall, and the bottom is filled 2 inches deep with 1/2 inch washed clean rock. There's 2 more inches of 1/4 inch gravel, and these 2 layers basically act as a separation layer to keep the sand out of the tube that is embedded in the wall of the concrete and comes out the nose. Then this is filled 21.5 inches deep with a 0.7 millimeter sand that is washed to a specific grade. It can be locally sourced sand. It doesn't have, preferably a quarry sand from a sand quarry or rock quarry. You could also use high bank river sand. And then there's 2 inches of standing water on top of that sand. And this is what makes the Biosand filter unique from the 7,000 or 5,000-year-old Egyptian sand filters. When dirty water is poured in here, there's a little diffuser plate that we drill 100 1/8-inch holes in, and that basically makes the water rain down on the sand so the sand is not disturbed. Then viruses and bacteria in this 2 inches of water on top of the sand, they're hungry. So they start to cannibalize the new virus and bacteria that come in. And essentially, almost 80% of the bacteria is removed or annihilated before the water starts to filter out through the sand. You can pour 14 liters of water in at a time. It's basically a batch filter. And gravity pushes the water down and the clean water up and out into a catch basin. So then a slime layer eventually forms on top of this sand called the schmutz deck. And it further filters the water. So that's your bio layer. Then beyond that, more than 6 inches deep in the sand, there's no light and no oxygen, and you have an anaerobic diol. And you have mechanical filtration. It's the third form of filtration for the large worms, amoeba that are caught in the sand. And then for the very small viruses, because of the sand that we select, there is flat surfaces and sharp edges, and it sets up like an electrostatic charge, and those viruses are attracted and held to the surface of that sand, and they just calcify on the sand. And that's how, through those 4 processes, we can achieve almost 100% virus removal and 98% bacteria removal. All worms, amoeba, protozoa, they're gone. Large shares of heavy metals are removed, 70 to 90% of the heavy metals. So, but the big thing is how the lives of these people are changed. I'll give you a few examples. We had one guy that was in his 60s, had never known a day in his life without diarrhea. And within 3 weeks of using clean water, that problem was gone. We often go into areas where the birth to age 5 death rate is 30%. In one case, it was over 50% in the eastern DRC. And the problems just disappeared within 3 weeks. We installed 2 filters in a village, a private orphanage in western Uganda, and they were burying young kids every month. And the man wrote to our board chairman, David Albert, and after 3 weeks he said, all incidences of dysentery, diarrhea, not even a stomach ache. And 9 months later, he wrote to us again, and still there had been no incidences of waterborne disease. So these are very effective. The beauty of what we do is we are a training organization. We get interested people in local areas, and we train people how to do this for themselves. They set up micro-businesses and cooperatives. And we provide the steel forms, we provide a toolkit, and usually the materials for about the first 25 filters. And once they've manufactured a few of those, they get them into the schools, get them into prominent community members' homes. They see the difference, and they set up a little economy for themselves. And we try to set up country representatives. David, how many country representatives do we have now? 5?
We're going to have 6.
Almost, yeah. 5, almost 6 country representatives. So Mzungus like me don't have to go over there, 2 or 3 times a year. It's my vision that I can go around to different countries setting up new programs, and then maybe once a year just check in with country representatives and see how they're doing. So, are there any questions at this time? Yes?
What's the longevity of the filters before they have to be cleaned, replaced, or
Okay,
serviced?
so after months of usage, that slime layer called the schmutz deck, the water flow rate may slow down, and you take out this diffuser plate and you swish around in that dirty water and bail that out. That restores the flow rate, and that is the only maintenance that needs to be done with these things for 30 years or more. The Center for Affordable Water and Sanitation Technology in Calgary, Canada has been doing research on this filter. This is actually version 10, and they do all the research, and they're saying the sand may never have to be changed out.
Talk about the water catchment tank process too, which is part of this.
Yes.
There's been a couple of pictures of it being constructed.
Last summer, Noah and I were able to help 2 local people in western Uganda build a ferro-cement rainwater catchment tank on a private home. It was 5,000 liters, about 1,250 gallons, and it's a very simple process. It's about 2/3 of the cost of a plastic tank. Plastic tanks' longevity is 5-10 years maximum because of the UV. These ferro-cement tanks, they're saying, should last about 30 years or longer. So, yeah, I could quickly go through some of these slides. They're running a little fast. This was a village in Rishikesh, India. That was their kitchen in a school. And that's the school children. Noah, my son, giving a demonstration. Sifting of the sand. This is the proportions for sand and gravel mixed for the concrete. Ladies that are training in Bangalore, another picture of the Bangalore training. This was the guru, Ravi Shankar at Art of Living Foundation. There were 50-some groups, NGOs and nonprofits trained in India in 2 trainings, and we estimate that 35 of those groups are now making filters and training other people. It was a huge, phenomenal success, all due to the efforts of one lady that came to our summer training 2 years ago, and she got really excited, contacted 500 NGOs in India and arranged all these trainings. This is a deaf children's school in Mityana, Uganda. That's in Gulu, Uganda. A lot of those kids that go deaf from waterborne diseases and ear infections. Mixing the concrete in Gulu. See, we try to team up with other organizations. This particular training in Gulu was through, help me out, David, Team Africa Ties the Bind from Denver. Yes. This is a food dehydrator that one of the guys put together. See, I find out that food seems to be plentiful over there, but they have no means of preserving their food. So with this food dehydrator, it was a really good idea.
Wayne, I will do another presentation later.
Okay, all right.
So, can this thing, can it be scaled up?
You know what we like to do is just set more of these side by side because these are portable enough. I mean, once they're in place, they should be stationary. But we can serve 500-800 people with a bank of these. Julie?
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge this organization and David, and specifically you, and Robin, and Noah, and the Rotary Club that has brought it here and is expanding its awareness in our community again. Because you mentioned the woman in India. And it's great that she went out to the NGOs and expanded. But let me just say that she wouldn't have had that opportunity if it weren't for you. You. So and your son and David and having the organization and just the can-do without glamour, glitz, and just getting it done. So that the great healing work, the great consciousness work that you're bringing around the world through clean water. Thank you so much.